Today's episode is all about whisks and knives. This one's going to be a fun one. Thanks for joining us today. So whisks and knives, this week's episode got a lot of comments, and it was acceptable. It was more than acceptable, I think, with that particular episode. But we had a lot of comments on, number one, the whisks and the eating knife. And I thought I would bring both of these topics in. There was another great comment. I don't have it in front of me because, obviously, I'm outside. But it was a comment about the little details about what's happening within the episodes and how they're constructed and the way we do particular little things and the way people did things, the minutia, right, of 200 years ago or 250 years ago, and how interesting that is. And today's episode is all about some of that minutia that seems if we step back from it a long way, it seems like it's meaningless. But when we get close up to it, it has a meaning of its own, and it's so very, very interesting. So let me get the first topic here. Here we are, our first topic of today, the whisk. And this little instrument, as soon as we started using these, which pretty much like one of the first episodes where I had to whisk up an egg, I immediately had to say to myself, now wait a minute, a standard whisk isn't going to cut it. That is not what they used in the 18th century. So I quickly had to do some research, and you find that twig whisks are, that's what they used. It's what they had in the 18th century, and it's what they used. This particular one is a birch twig whisk, and the vast majority of whisks in the 18th century that you read about, at least, are made from birch twigs. There are some that are made from like birch wood, but I have yet to see a lot of documentation about exactly what those were like. There's some splitting going on here, and then I don't even want to try to explain it because I can't explain it very well. The twig whisks are actually very easy to explain. These are wonderful little pieces. They're made from birch tree twigs that you have to strip the bark off of, and then you bundle it up. And as simple as this thing seems to look, it takes a lot longer to make than you would imagine. Stripping all the bark off these twig whisks, or off these twigs, is very difficult. You can leave the bark on, but it doesn't work nearly as well, and I don't think it's nearly as clean. So getting the bark to come off, it can be difficult. And you gather up this giant bundle of twigs and you start stripping all the stuff off. And you get done with this and you think, man, I've probably got enough here for 5, 10, 20 whisks. And you end up with one whisk and you think, oh, this is not easy. Takes a lot more work than it looks like. The people ask about cleaning these guys, and the cleaning is very simple. I mean, number one, clean it right away. You don't want to let the batter or the eggs dry onto this whisk because you can't get it off. I mean, egg yolk it's nature's mega glue. I don't know what that stuff is made out of, but it's hard to get off of pans. It's very difficult to get off of something like a whisk when it's dried on there. So right after you use it, you whisk it in really hot water, clean water. That's one of the tricks in the kitchen in the 18th century, is that you had several kettles on the fire. One of them was what you were cooking. The other one had just hot water in it, and you use that for cleaning continuously. And so you would probably go in there with your whisk and whisk it right in that hot water right away, rinse it off, and it's clean, ready to use the next time you put it aside. You don't worry about it. So they're not difficult to clean. You just need to get to them right away. The other question about these is, do little pieces of the twig come off and end up in your food? I would say very occasionally I've had that sort of problem, but not generally. It's not a big issue with that. If it is, it's a little stick, and you pull it out, and it's gone, and you don't worry about it. It's cooking. I mean, a little bit of a stick in your food, that's not a big problem. It's sterile or ish, so it's not going to be bad for you. Just pull it out and keep cooking. These are wonderful. They work very, very well. Compared to, say, like a stainless steel whisk. Now, obviously, they invented stainless steel whisks or steel whisks in the 19th century for a reason. This is not the perfect instrument, or else we would still be using them today. Maybe it's because these are difficult to make compared to a steel whisk. I'm not sure. That's the story about the whisk. This story keeps going on, though. Of course, today we have all these plastic bowls. But in the 18th century, there was a local wood turner, and he made all sorts of items, little containers, bowls. He might carve spoons, all these different things. Today, we've got a strainer or a colander. In the 18th century, the colander was mostly made out of wood with either this has got a metal screen or it would have a horsehair screen in the bottom of it or just cloth in the bottom of it. But the body of it was made with wood. And, of course, the classic ubiquitous wooden spoon, which basically everyone could make and did make for their own use. Why have some, nasty metal or plastic spoon when you could go right out into your backyard and make yourself a wooden spoon? So the other topic, the other item that brought up so much comment was the eating knife here. These knives, they generally come in a set with a knife and a fork. Got a bone handle here, a very simple but unique blade shape. And the fork, of course, I don't have it with me, sharp two-tined forks. And they, typically today we, of course, eat with bring the food up to our mouths with forks. They didn't do that in the 18th century. The forks were sharp. They were meant to hold down the food while you were cutting it, and then you brought it up to your mouth with the knife. That's why it's got a nice broad tip here, lots of space to put things on, and it's not sharp on the backside or the tips so that we don't hurt ourselves when we're eating with it. Why? Did they used to eat with a knife and not with the fork? I don't know. Why did we change from eating with a knife like this to eating with a fork, other than pure custom? Again, I don't know. It's a great topic. I'm sure somebody's probably written a 1,000-page book on it. It is one of those things that changes through time. In the late 18th century, in the 19th century, even into the 20th century, where this slow change, and depending on your region or your family or your culture, that evolution from eating with your knife to eating with your fork, very interesting. And it's one of those little pieces of minutia that we kind of pick out of history and realize how different people were in the 18th century and how similar in tiny ways and in very, very big ways. Great topics. Great. I love finding these little differences and then trying to understand them. For news happening on the channel here we just got our brand new calendars. The 2018 calendars are out. They're in the mail. If you have purchased from us on our website in the past, say, a year or two, you will get a calendar in the mail. It's got 12 recipes, lots of beautiful pictures, lots of fun stuff in the calendar. If you're interested in one of the calendars, you can purchase them, basically just the price of mailing it to you. You can purchase them on our website, and I'll put a link down in the description section. And we do have some other kind of merch stuff coming out here in the near future. We also have season 10 bundled up into a DVD that is just available right now. A lot of folks, enjoy the channel so much, but they don't. They've got friends who might want to enjoy it too, but they don't have an internet connection, or they're, a different generation who just doesn't watch things on YouTube, and they want to watch them on DVD in their homes. Those are available on the website also. Again, I'll put a link down in the description section. I want to thank all you guys for your amazing support. Some of you folks support us on Patreon. Wow, I can't thank you enough for supporting us directly like that. Other folks, they might buy merch or buy things on our website. Again, thank you so much for that. We're also searching for some other ways that you can help support us on the channel. But one of the ways you can support us easily, quickly, and that's sharing our videos. When you share our links on videos, or you talk about our channel to other folks, that's how people find us. And so I really want to thank you for that kind of support. When you watch our videos, you comment on our videos, and the comment section is so fun to to read at times. And this last week was a blast reading all the comments. Thank you so much for all that you do that supports us, and thanks for watching.